It's time for your daily LSU baseball update with Musso at the box. Now, Matt Musso.
Off and running. Welcome in another edition of Musso at the Box, presented by Gotlit Light Installers. Well, we now know it will be LSU and Texas A&M Friday night from Hoover, Alabama, 6:30 p.m. Central, scheduled first pitch. We say scheduled because, well, it is the SEC tournament, but everything looks pretty good. There's only going to be 2 games tomorrow. The first one starting at 1. The only thing that can really push it back would be extra innings because the weather actually looks phenomenal. So it should be a 6:30 first pitch between the Aggies and the Tigers. Today we preview that matchup here on Musso at the Box. We'll talk a little bit about what Texas A&M has done in the SEC tournament. Obviously, the couple very key injuries that Texas A&M has suffered here in the last, call it a week or so to their lineup and how that impacts the game, who LSU is expected to see on the mound, who Texas A&M has available in their bullpen, a few things to watch for the Tigers in this game. There is plenty of different angles to attack this one from, and we will do it all. So I'm fired up to do it. Good to be talking an actual baseball game again. It's been a while since we've been able to do that. It's been a lot more, overall thoughts here on LSU as we awaited their opener in Hoover, but it is finally here. So smash the like button, please, if you have not already. Get subscribed up to the YouTube channel if you have not already, and on your favorite podcast app. Just take the show with you wherever you may go. Follow on social media, Twitter X at Musso Matthew. You can find me on Instagram and on Facebook as well. It's greatly appreciated. And let's just go ahead and dive right into it. Okay, how did the Aggies get here? Texas A&M, they opened their tournament on, Wednesday. It was supposed to be Tuesday, but they opened it on Wednesday because of weather. They defeated Mississippi State 9-0, dominant fashion behind Ryan Prager, their ace, who started the game. That advanced them to Thursday, where they would face Auburn, the 6th seed Auburn, opening their SEC tournament, and A&M would win that one 3-2. Behind Justin Lampkin and some stellar relief pitching as well from the Aggies. Lampkin threw a really, really nice game. Texas A&M managed to put up a 3-spot and made it hold up. They led 3-1 for the majority of that ball game. Auburn would have a run late, but again, A&M would, get out of it with a win. So now you look at the 4th matchup of the season between LSU and Texas A&M. We know what happened in College Station. LSU had multiple opportunities to win that series, and, man, they really let one get away. You had the couple misplayed balls in the outfield in game number 1. That comes back to bite you. Cade Anderson was phenomenal in that game, but you drop it 3-1. You win the complete game. You win game 2 behind a complete game from Anthony Ianson, and you led 4-2 in game 3. I mean, you led really the entirety of that ball game, and then in the 8th inning, obviously the top 3 in that order, they got you, and ultimately you would fall. But that was a series you scored 7 runs in. Like, the offense really, really struggled for LSU against Texas A&M. So here you go. This is your chance to kind of even it up on the year, and, man, things really set up well for you. Let's start with the wounded Aggies. And, man, it's funny in sports, just in general, when you have to play a team a second time or a third time or a fourth time, whenever, and one's in the regular season and the other time's in the postseason, right? I mean, you can see that a lot in the NFL, potentially sometimes, even, NBA and whatnot, but really any level. The teams are just always different the second time around. And in one sense, the Aggies are the same because when LSU saw them in College Station back in early May, Texas A&M was really hot, and they looked like they had turned the corner, and they ended up beating you, and that was just a feather in your cap, in their cap, I should say, right? Then they got swept by Missouri and all that, but you look at them now, and okay, they're kind of hot again because they've got the 2 wins, and their RPI is climbing, and they know they have to win this tournament to get into the NCAA. We'll see if just getting to Sunday is enough. I personally think they still have to kind of win it just because of where the RPI is. Texas A&M's RPI right now currently sits, they should be back inside the top 50. They are at 50. They are 50th in the RPI. So, you've never had an SEC team with a top 50 RPI be left out, right? That's kind of always the deal. But they're going to have to continue to climb up because things can change around them. So they've got that motivation still that they had the time you played them before. What they don't have is two of their best bats in the lineup. We'll start with Caden Sorrell. Caden Sorrell, of course, is the guy who hit that go-ahead home run in game number 3 that gave A&M the series win over LSU. Sorrell in game 1 against Georgia, so a week ago Thursday, he had a 3-run homer to give A&M a lead in that game. In his last at bat, he took a ball off his right hand. He was hit with the pitch. It's a break. He was seen in a cast, the next day in the dugout. And he has not played since. And he is likely out against LSU. I can't imagine he would go in there with a broken hand and try to grip a bat and swing. So they are going to be without Caden Sorrell. And then on Thursday against Auburn, the same thing happened to Jace Laviolette. He took a fastball right off the knuckle and has a broken finger on his hand. Was in a very similar cast to what Caden Sorrell was in. And Michael Early, after the game Thursday, confirmed that Jace Laviolette is out and that his season and career is likely over at Texas A&M. And you know what? That sucks because Jace Laviolette is a player that most of us around here are very familiar with. He was a one-time LSU signee. And then when the coaching change happened and Nolan Cain went over to A&M, he followed Coach Cain over to Texas A&M. And I mean, he has just been awesome for them. He's finished. He's their career home run leader. He's going to be a top pick in the MLB draft. So it sucks to watch that happen to him. Now, that is going to change up Texas A&M's lineup a lot in this game. And it's going to impact things. Now, you could say, and look, we've talked about this plenty on this show. LSU held down Laviolette and Sorrell until that 8th inning. I mean, even with that 8th inning, those two went a combined 3 for 24 in that series with a whole bunch of strikeouts. 12 of them, I think, to be exact. So it's like, okay, you already limited those two when you faced them. So are you kind of facing a similar A&M offense than you already did? Maybe, but those two are still a presence in that lineup, and that's what changes, right? Even though you held them down, when they came around in the lineup, it was like, okay, deep breath, here you go, attack, right? And see if you can get through this. That presence leaves A&M's lineup now. Like Sorrell's one thing, you said Laviolette, missing both of them, that's massive. What will it look like for A&M when they actually line it up? I would imagine it looks like something similar you saw to what happened when Jace Laviolette went out. Sawyer Farr got the start in left because they moved Terrence Keel, their sensational freshman, to right for Sorrell. Well, when Laviolette got hurt, Keel went to center and Jamal George went in right field. And I mean, you just look at what this does to their to the production for this team. Jamal George is hitting 238 on the year and 63 at bats. It's not a huge sample, but he's at 238. Sawyer Farr, who's in there in left field now, is hitting 183 and 82 at bats. Like Terrence Keel's been great, but you don't have another Caden Sorrell and Jace Laviolette. I mean, nobody does. No team in the country does. So, I mean, that's what you're looking for. I would expect it to be Farr, Keel, and George left to right, in the outfield as how they go about replacing that. And that's tough. Like that's not ideal for Michael and the Aggies as they play for their season on Friday against LSU. But I think there also is something to be said that Texas A&M came into the tournament without Caden Sorrell, and they won that game 9-0. and they held on 3-2 without Jace Laviolette. So they've won in spite of it. The reason they've done that, in large part, is the pitching. Texas A&M has given up 2 runs over the course of 2 days in Hoover. And, man, when you look at LSU's offensive performance from that series in College Station, that makes this matchup really, really intriguing. With what A&M's going to run out there from a lineup perspective, it's going to be really tough against Cade Anderson. Because if you, again, go back and see what Jay's done in the SEC tournament, even when Paul Skeens threw, he got 88 pitches out of Skeens. If you get 88 pitches out of Cade Anderson, you could potentially have 5 innings from him. And if he takes care of business against a wounded A&M lineup, you're going to be in a good spot. It's going to come down to, can you hit? You scored 7 runs against this staff, and you'll see Miles Patton. Mike Early has made that known. Miles Patton will get the start for Texas A&M against LSU. Now, that's their number 3. Just for a refresher on Patton, this will be appearance 15, start 15. He's 3-4 with a 5.10 ERA, 72 1/3 innings pitched. He has walked 16, struck out 79. The opponent is hitting 277 off of Patton. Go back to game 3 in College Station. While LSU's offense was not good, the most success you had was against Miles Patton. He threw 6 innings, allowed 6 hits, and 4 earned runs to LSU. That's still pretty good. Like, he scattered 6 hits around. Luis Hernandez was really your catalyst in that game, but you got him for 4 earned. If you can mimic that with Cade Anderson on the bump, giving you, potentially 15 outs, well, you're going to feel pretty good about that if you're LSU. Patton, he's not an overpowering guy. His stuff's going to be very similar in velocity to a guy like Ryan Prager. Prager chewed you up and spit you out in College Station, but the fastball is going to be, 88, 92 in that realm. Good changeup, good breaking ball. That's Miles Patton. He's going to pound the zone. 16 walks in 72 1/3 innings. He's a transfer from Long Beach State, which is a good baseball program historically. So he's formidable. And again, he had some success against you, but you had some success against him. I would really call that one a 50-50 split, quite honestly. In that game 3. A&M's bullpen is kind of another story, where if you're LSU, you didn't have any success against them in College Station. In fact, all 7 runs you scored came off of the starters. And if you look at A&M, the bullets that they have left, well, you obviously know Prager and Lampkin aren't going to pitch, and they started. But if you go back to their first game against Mississippi State, they threw Clayton Freshcorn for 22 pitches. He also pitched briefly in the game against Auburn on Thursday. I think for a third. I think it was a third of an inning that he threw against Auburn. Yeah, a third of an inning. But that's still 2 days in a row. Do you get him hot a third? I don't know. Weston Moss, you should not have to worry about seeing Weston Moss, and that is Texas A&M's best reliever. And you saw him twice in College Station, had a little bit of success against him the first time, none the second time. He threw 2 1/3 and 34 pitches against Auburn. 34 pitches. I can't imagine he's available Friday. It is season on the line, so maybe you do see him, but you've gotten 2 looks at him throughout the regular season, and he threw 34 pitches. So maybe you see him because it is season on the line type deal, but that's asking a lot to get him hot and ready to go. Sorry, I did not prep this part of the podcast. Let me go briefly see this. He's pitched on back-to-back days. Making sure I have this correct. Twice all year. One of them was against LSU because of the doubleheader. The other, in a more traditional series, was against Alabama. In those against Bama, he was pretty effective the second time out, but also in both of those, the second time out were his longer outing. So I don't think you can get more than 34 pitches out of him, right? You're going to ask him to do that again, but he has pitched on back-to-back days twice this season. So just file that away. But if I'm a betting man, it'd have to be a pretty win or go home situation for them to throw Weston Moss against LSU. Caden Wilson will be interesting. Wilson's one of their key lefties out of the bullpen. He threw an inning in the third against Auburn. Forgive me, I don't have his pitch count. Could he show back up? Could he come back? Maybe. But he's thrown. And then outside of that, they got everybody else available. Anyone else, maybe outside of Freshcorn who threw against Mississippi State, they come back because Rudis and Lyons threw 14 pitches. They're definitely available, and they didn't pitch against Auburn. So you look at A&M and what they have left in that bullpen, and man, you're looking at Luke Jackson. He has not pitched in this SEC tournament. He was second on the team in appearances for Texas A&M in conference play. It's a big fastball from Luke Jackson, and it's a lot of it. He predominantly throws heater. You saw him briefly in the series in College Station. The other one that I would really say keep an eye on is Caden McCoy. He's a freshman. McCoy is a freshman lefty who shoved against LSU in that series. Now, he has not pitched since May 17th against Georgia at Georgia. But he threw 3 2/3 shutout against LSU. I believe that was game 2 of the series, and he has not pitched in this SEC tournament and has success, obviously, against LSU. So keep him in mind as kind of maybe an X factor out of the bullpen there. And then obviously Luke Jackson, and as we said, Rudis, Lyons, those guys can come back. They didn't throw today, or they didn't throw Thursday, and they pitched only 14 pitches each against Mississippi State. So Texas A&M actually is in pretty decent shape in their bullpen of having played 2 games already. And obviously they're hoping for a really solid outing from, Miles Patton. I think they'd take 6 innings from him again. No doubt. The more interesting thing is, are they going to be able to score against Cade Anderson? Because Cade Anderson in that matchup, obviously with Texas A&M, was very, very good. He had some rough luck with some misplays in the field, and he was very much a tough luck loser in that ball game against the Aggies. But I mean, he had success. I mean, the final line, 6 innings, he gave up 1 run and punched out 12. Like, he was awesome. So, and by the way, he threw 113 pitches. So it took him 113 to get through 6. So if he's a little bit more efficient, getting through 5 is, not out of the realm. And for what it's worth, he threw 5 2/3 against Alabama on 92 pitches. And that's doable, for Anderson. So that's going to be the key for A&M, is if they can score. And look, if Anderson goes out there and takes care of business, I think the answer is no, because 6 innings, 1 run the last time he faced him. So now we'll see. You have a full game for each of these guys. Like, A&M has seen Anderson for a full game. LSU has seen Patton for a full game. Does that lead to this being a little more high scoring? I don't know. We'll ultimately we'll wait and see. But that's kind of how it sets up pitching wise for the Aggies. Let's talk a little bit more about LSU and what I want to see from them in this ball game. First and foremost, you're on the road. You just won the series at South Carolina on the road, and that's great. But at times that was a struggle. And LSU, away from Alex Box Stadium this year, true road games and neutral site, you have to count all of them because this is a neutral site, is 14-8. 8-8 in true road games, but 14-8. I'm sorry, 12-8. Apologies. LSU away from the box this year is 12-8. You're 4-0 neutral site. Now, in those 20 games, you have averaged 5.5 runs per game. Compare that to when LSU has been at home, and they're averaging 9 runs per game over the course of the whole season. So that's in 20 games away from the box, neutral site and true road games, 5.5 runs per game. And in 35 games at the box, 9 runs per game. We know what that ballpark can be like in Hoover. It can play small if the wind's blowing out. It can play really big if the wind is blowing in. And if it's a fair day, it still plays big. LSU, they've done their best to manufacture runs at times this season with some squeeze bunts and whatnot. I would expect that to obviously continue. But the big thing is, all right, in your last 2 road games, you've scored. Your last 2 games away from the box, you've scored 15 runs. Does some of that carry over to Hoover? That's first and foremost. Now, you're facing a much better pitching staff in Texas A&M than you did in South Carolina. Talent-wise, for sure. Talent-wise. And one that already ate your lunch for 3 games earlier in the year. So how does LSU adjust and make the adjustments there? How much different does it look? What I will also say is LSU did a lot of lineup tinkering in that series against Texas A&M. I think the lineup you send out there Friday is pretty darn straightforward. Curiel, Jones, Dickinson, Fry will DH. Josh Pearson will probably play right because there's a lefty on the mound, and they're going to sit Jake Brown until they can bring him in a pinch hitting role in the game. And then Braswell, Milam, Hernandez. Hernandez had a lot of success, not only against A&M, but against Miles Patton. So that makes sense. Like, I think that lineup, pretty straightforward the way you're going to send it out. As opposed to when you had Jones in the leadoff spot and all that in College Station. You started John Pearson at one point. Like, you're much more set on your lineup, I do believe, this time around. So I hope that is big. The other thing is Derek Curiel. I'm really focusing in on Curiel in this game on Friday because Derek's been struggling, and against A&M, facing all those lefties, that was really when that started for him. He went 1 for 9 in that series, facing 3 lefty starters. And now he's going to face Miles Patton again. Let's see if there's adjustments that have been made by Curiel, because Derek Curiel can hit left-handed pitching. Like, he can do that. Okay? This is not a scenario where Curiel has been bad against lefties all year. It is far from that. Going into that A&M series, Derek Curiel was hitting 380 on the year. You're not hitting 380 on the year just off of righties. Like, he had success against Jared Spencer. You know, I mean, we can go down the list. Like, Curiel had success against left-handed pitching throughout this year. But as of late, it's been a struggle. And it was in game 1 against South Carolina. And while his final line against game 2 against South Carolina didn't look great, he only punched out once, and he put the ball in play, and he hit it hard off of lefties. And then you saw him go 3 for 5 off of a righty in game 3. But can those hard contact at bats from game 2 of South Carolina carry over against a pitcher he's already seen before? If Curiel can have a great day and set the table for LSU, and then Jones, Dickinson follow, and you get into the rest of that lineup, I think the offense can travel to Hoover. I think that it can. We'll have to wait and see there. The other thing for me offensively with LSU in this is Bear Jones. Can he continue the hot streak that he started in South Carolina? he brutal. He had, what was it, four? I don't have the notes in front of me anymore. It was over 400 with 3 homers, and they were in big spots, and he was clutch. Again, it's South Carolina. I understand. That's why I'm saying, was that him really turning the corner, and can that carry over now into the postseason? And then Dickinson, can he stay hot? Because Danny Dickinson is your hottest hitter right now heading into the postseason. And of course, you're waiting for Milam to turn it on still. But Jones and Dickinson are the other part, because they were awesome for you against South Carolina, and having those guys be awesome heading into the postseason and carry that over, that's going to be massive for the run that LSU can make. So I definitely want to keep an eye on that. Really, lastly, for LSU, it's how they, set the pitching. I fully expect Anderson to start. I'm curious to see if they would go to Anthony Ianson. It's something we mentioned on Wednesday's show. Would they go to Anthony Ianson, potentially in relief, to guarantee he gets an opportunity to pitch in Hoover? I know it's not necessarily totally on routine for him, but if you lose and he doesn't get a chance to pitch, it's going to be almost 2 weeks. Or it will be 2 weeks technically since he last threw in a live game. So that's something to keep an eye on. But outside of that, how they use the bullpen, I think is going to be very, very intriguing. I'd love to see Cowan and Evans be able to pitch. I'd love to see Shores get out there, obviously. And you know what? They've been wanting to get Jacob Myers out there. I'd love to see him, and I'd like to see Cooper Williams get some more run too. So how LSU sets things up there, it's going to be very, very interesting. If you're just looking at this from a win-loss perspective, LSU doesn't need the game. Like, I've made that perfectly clear. In my opinion, they are a lock, regardless of even what happens in Hoover and around the country. There are teams that can play their way into a national seed, but not a top 8 national seed, but not at the expense of LSU, because their resume is just airtight at this point. You finish top 4 in the league. Like, we don't have to go through all of that again. But I always give you a prediction, and I think LSU gets it done against Texas A&M on Friday night, and they do play into Saturday, and you're able to get Ianson in that start. And then after that, I really don't care. Like, LSU can lose the game. Like, it doesn't. They go home and get ready. You don't need. I mean, man, if you get to Sunday and you have a chance to win it, are you going to go all in to do it? Sure, absolutely. Why not? But you don't need it. But I do think LSU takes care of business against A&M. I think the loss of Laviolette and Caden Sorrell and what you're having to replace them with, that's just really tough. One other thing I will say for LSU in this game, Ben Royo, how you handle him, because he was a nightmare for you in College Station. See if you can make some adjustments and get him out a little bit more. But ultimately, I think they do. I think that's too much to overcome for a full game, not having both Laviolette and Caden Sorrell. And while their pitching's not in a horrible spot, LSU is just completely fresh. I mean, this is LSU's first game. They've played 2. And I think LSU has revenge on the mind. I really do. LSU left College Station feeling like they should have won that series, and quite frankly, they should have won that series. You gifted them runs in game 1, and you blew a late lead in game 3. You had 2 different opportunities to win that series. And I don't think that team's forgotten about it. I know Jay Johnson hadn't forgotten about it. And he's going to say all the right things. And that, we haven't even talked about that game. It's about this game, 56-game playoff, the here and the now. You can't make anything bigger than it is. That's fine. That's the right thing to say. And I'm not even telling you that Jay Johnson has used that series as motivation and letting it get away. What I'm telling you is he doesn't have to, because they all remember. And they want to go out there and win that ball game. And I think that they do. I'll take LSU. I think they played a Saturday. And, after that, the chips fall where they may. But, that's how I see it going Friday in Hoover. We'll have a live reaction post game for you after it goes final. Hopefully everything stays on schedule beautifully, and it just functions like a normal Friday would in the regular season for LSU. Well, I guess a lot of those actually started at 9:50, but you get what I mean, right? And we'll have you covered on Musso at the Box. Smash the like button, please. If you haven't already, get subscribed to the YouTube channel and on your favorite podcast app. Follow on social media. Be here next time for more. It's Musso at the Box, presented by Gauntlet Light Installers.